All right, we're live. Shalom, shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. We're going to start off this live lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh.
Yahweh, Bashem, Bashem,
Rakakadosh.
All right, double honors to the apostles and the elder great master who rule well and has taught us his word in truth and sincerity. And peace and mercy to the hopeful elect that are also pushing his word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, and peace and mercy as well to the little amount of sisters that believe and listen. So this lesson, we're going to go through Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Very good chapter, very important in the light of prophecy as well. And also dealing with the strangers. A lot of Christians and a lot of Israelites get hung up on that word strangers. You got Israelites that teach that, heathens and of the other nations and Edomites are going to make it in terms of them actually dwelling in rulership with us in the kingdom. Which couldn't be any further from the truth. All right, the kingdom of heaven is for the nation of Israel, starting with Yahweh Shai on down to the elect to rule. Okay, and the strangers that will be joined onto them, as we're going to read, are actually talking about Israelites as well. So hold on, let me share my screen and we'll get right into it. Okay, so let's get this going. So Isaiah the 14th chapter. So we'll start from verse 1. Isaiah 14:1, it says, "For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." So first of all, let's go into that word strangers, because what's being said here is that the Lord is going to put Israel in their own land, which is the land of Israel, which we're not in right now. We got the fake Israelites that are inhabiting that land right now. Okay, and the strangers that are going to be joined onto them are actually Israelite foreigners, Israelites who basically gave up their inherent rights to be Israelites by serving the customs, right, of the heathens. Okay, living like the heathens, serving their gods. They gave up Yahweh and their inheritance as an Israelite to be a Babylonian, to be an African, to be everything else outside of an Israelite. Okay, so when you go into the word stranger, the word here is gar. Okay, and gar, it means what? It says sojourner, a temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. It says of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. They conceded their rights. Right? So what does that mean? It means they gave up their rights to be Israelites. And that's important. The history is important to know as to why that happened, which I'm going to pull up Maccabees. Let me just get the word conceded real quick here. Concede, right? It says here, the verb to make a concession of, yield up, right? To yield up, give away, go away, depart, right? So what did they do? They yielded up their rights to be Israelites to what? To live comfortably among the heathens. And that's in the history. A lot of Israelites did that under captivity, right? Because it got to a point when you go into the history to the Greek Empire, it got to a point where if you were to profess yourself a Jew, you were getting killed. You had Israelites. As Israelites, we had to hide. We had to go into caves, into the wilderness, just to keep the Sabbath. Because if you were found keeping the Sabbath or circumcising your child, right, in public or out where people can see you, you were put to death. All right, so it was really hard to be an Israelite. So therefore, you had a lot of Israelites by the time of Yahushua. You had those Gentiles, and you had that what would you say, that division between the Israelites that knew they were Israelites and the Israelites that didn't know they were Israelites, living like heathens. Okay.
Since you pulled it up, I have a quick precept to go along with that, with what you said.
Khan, go ahead, bro.
Also, I just want to point out too that was the case as well, because our people, you know, they were trying to hide because they didn't want to die because of persecution, right? But even after that, you had our people; they were just born into that lifestyle as well.
Yeah, over the years.
I have a quick precept just to go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
This is Acts chapter 16:1, and the subtitle says the Macedonian vision. It says, "Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess," right? So that means it clearly states that she pretty much believed in the Lord, right? She understood her nationality and believed, but his father was a Greek, right? So obviously his father was a Greek, and it just shows that he was an Israelite foreigner, which also proves, like, you know, if his mom was also a Hellenist, I'm just saying, not saying that she was, I'm just saying, and if they were both Hellenistic, he would have probably been born into that. You know what I mean? And then he probably wouldn't have believed. That could have been also the case for our people. They were just born into that lifestyle. Absolutely. But later on, they would have just changed if the Lord permitted. Absolutely. Right? So a lot of our people are in that position.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Because you're right. Because, you know, after generations and generations, over time, you're just going to be living like that. You know. So real quick here, I'm going into the Hebrew Chaldean lexicon. And it tells you here, it says a sojourner, stranger, foreigner, a person living out of his own country. You see? So a person that's living outside of his own country. So if you're a foreigner, and if you're living outside of your own country, let's say that country being Israel, and you're an Israelite, and that's your country, that would also mean you're from there, right? So that shows you that this word stranger is talking about a person that's originally from their own country, but they're living outside of it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I still had a little bit more though to read.
You have more? Okay.
Yeah, because the point was going to be made in verse 3, because he got circumcised because he's coming back to his customs, right?
All right.
So it says, which was well reported of by the brethren that were at Lystra and Iconium. Him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews which were in those quarters, for they knew all that his father was a Greek. So he was living like a Greek before, right? But now he came back to the Hebrew customs, right? So that's why he got circumcised. So that shows that he's now coming back into his rights. He knows his rights. Before he lacked a lot of those inherited rights because he was living like a heathen, right? So that goes along with the word gar and what the brother is going into.
Right. Yeah. So, because in another chapter, I think Paul called himself a Benjamite, right? He said he was from the tribe of Benjamin. So if it says that his dad was a Greek, obviously you are who your father is. So just to, land back off what you're saying, he was a Benjamite living like a Greek, simply put.
All right. Let's go to Exodus 2:22 of where that word came from, which is gar. Right? The reason is because it tells you exactly what it is, and everything else that was just mentioned. Okay, just or go there. Exodus 2:22. That's just one precept.
Exodus 2:22, it says, and she bare him a son and called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land.
So that was Egypt where he was born. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So going back to who his father is Moses,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So he's an Israelite that's born outside
Right.
of Israel. So everything that was said, but I just wanted to go to the origin for those at home, so you can see the origin of that. So this is nothing new here, you people at home that's watching or tuning in live or who will see this video. Okay, but that's the origin of the word. So yes, an Israelite stranger or foreigner is one that was either born or not connected to his customs, but his bloodline is of the nation of Israel. Only his father would be an Israelite. Excuse me. Anyway, that's the point.
And when you look up the word Gershom, it means foreigner, right? Or stranger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important to note as well when you look up the name Gershom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the word stranger there is the same word that I read in Isaiah 14:1. You can see it says God.
Yeah. But when you go deeper into the root word, it will say exile. Right. When you click on Gershom and then you click on the root word again, it will show exile, and that's why you link certain precepts like the captive exile hasteneth to be loosed, because we're in captivity and we became exiled because we're exiled from our land, and then now we've taken on the customs of the heathen nations as well. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna get a little bit of history going into strangers and how we became, strangers in the sense where we, gave up our rights and we became exiles out of not just the land, but in keeping the customs of keeping our customs as Israelites. So this is 2 Maccabees 6:1. I'm gonna read down to 12, and it says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of Yahweh, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwell in the place. And I'm pretty sure this man was the man that was sent from Athens. I'm pretty sure he was an Israelite, a priest, because that's what that happened a lot. You had when Israel was taken over by these heathens, they would set up Israelites like the priest, right, to compel the Israelites to follow the laws of the heathens all the time. Verse 3, it says, the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the Lord forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days. Right? So that also doesn't just go into the Sabbath itself, which is governed by the moon, all the feast days. Okay, because those are also considered Sabbath, or ancient feast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint, so forced, okay, to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivory. So basically, to burn incense to Bacchus and serve other gods. They were forced, being compelled. This is during the Greek Empire. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathens by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices, and whosoever would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So it got to a point where just being a Jew, confessing yourself to be an Israelite, would cause your very life. Okay. For there were 2 women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes hanging at their breast, they cast them down headlong from the wall. You see, it got really bad, man. It got so bad. So you can see why a lot of us, you know, just to save our own lives and save our children's lives and our wives' lives, we basically concealed ourselves being Jews or being Israelites and took on the customs of the heathens just to get by. Right? But then it also says this, and others that had run together into causes nearby, to keep into caves nearby, to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discouraged or discovered to Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. So even when you had us, a few of us going to hide so we can keep the Sabbath, we were found out and we were burnt.
Now, I just want to add a little real quick because this is still going on today. You still get penalized for coming out and telling the nations who you are, especially Esau, because he's in power. You saw that with Kyrie. You saw that with Kanye. Right. Even with us, we still get a lot of lashback when we still do these things. But also going into slavery, you were killed for reading the Bible. Yeah. You were killed for doing certain things. They forced pork upon you. They forced chitlins. They forced Christmas and all these wicked high holy days on you. Right. So it's still playing out. We're still in that Gar state, that Gentile state.
Con. Mm-hmm. That's right. So going back to Isaiah 14:1. Sorry. Right, it says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." And
I have a quick precept for that as well, because it says, "And they shall cleave."
Yeah.
To Jacob.
Yeah.
Because that also went on during the time of Acts. When you go into Acts, the 6th chapter and the 1st verse, because you had a lot of discontentment when it came to distributing charity among the Hebrews or the Gentile, the Grecian widows. That's right. The account of it, right? There was a lot of discontent when it came to distributing charity, and that was due because of the priests and the Sadducees. They felt a certain way because they didn't want them to come back into the fold and to inherit their rights, right? So this is Acts chapter 6:1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily administration. And it's just not the other nations that are causing us to get back into our nationality, into who we are. It's our own people. Our own people are a big problem of that. And you see that in Israel today. Yeah. If you look like another nation, you can't be a part of this thing. If you look like a so-called Latino, you're a white boy. They label you that. Like that's still going on.
Yeah.
You got a lot of self-righteous Israelites out there doing that. And a lot of our people, they get neglected and they fall through the cracks, right? And a lot of you guys that are doing that, you're going to get punished for that. Right?
Yep, that's right.
Verse 2, and it says, then the 12 called the multitude of the disciples unto them and said, it is not reason that we should leave the word of the Most High and serve tables. Wherefore, brethren, look ye out among ye 7 men of honest report, full of the Holy Ghost and wisdom, who we may appoint over this business. And you know, that's righteous. You're supposed to pick worthy men who have wisdom, who have understanding, that is actually going to distribute charity properly, right? And the men, there's a lot of men like I'm going to just use Gehenna Sakari and even Nate. You know, they're not worthy men right now. They're not looking like it because they're not distributing charity properly when it comes to pushing doctrines and telling who can serve the Lord and what you can and what you can't do. Because it's not coming out the scriptures.
Right.
Verse 4, it says, but we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the ministry of the word. And the saying pleased the whole multitude, and they chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Ghost, and Philip and Prochorus and Nicanor and Timon and Parmenas and Nicholas, a proselyte of Antioch, whom they set before the apostles. And when they had prayed, they laid their hands on them, and the word of the Most High increased, and the number of the disciples multiplied in Jerusalem greatly, and a great company of the priests were obedient to the faith. So if you put the right people in a position, then they're going to rejoice, right? And those are really the guys who are teaching the 100% truth in its fullest, right? So, anyways,
that's perfect for cleaving. The strangers cleaving to the house of Israel. Go ahead.
I just have one more too, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Isaiah 56:6. Also, the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord Yahweh to serve him and to love the name the Lord Yahweh, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, right? Which, you know, in essence, all of Israel became strangers, you know, and we all made an oath, so to speak, to keep the Sabbath when we decided to serve the Lord, right? And he revealed himself to us through his prophets, right? We took an oath that we would keep the Sabbath to the best of our abilities, the feast days, and not pollute, any of them, and take hold of his covenant, which comes with the commandments. So again, if you have teachers telling you that you don't have to keep the laws, well, guess what? They're scattering you from the Lord, because the laws are still in effect. Obviously, if we're still saved under Yahweh's blood and covered under Yahweh's blood, but you have to show forth your faith, and by doing that, by keeping the laws to the best of your ability, that's what you're doing. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted unto me, unto my altar. Right. And right now we don't actually sacrifice any animals, right? Or have any burnt offerings. But now your body, right, pursuant to Romans 12:1, right, your body should be a living sacrifice. So every day, what does that mean? Every day you live, right, for the Lord. You live for Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, not from your own desires. Okay. For mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people, and all people of the nation of Israel. All right, so going back, Isaiah 14:2, it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors. Right? So now it's switching up. It's talking about basically the heathens, starting with Esau, Edom, right? The Lord is gonna have Israel, starting with the elect. We're gonna have slaves of these other nations. Okay, not just these strangers, is because we got some Israelites that will teach that these strangers is also talking about it's the same people in this precept, but that's not true.
Yeah, that. Let me just add that real quick. I don't know if they changed, but even at HODC, they teach that. Used to teach that, right? After the split, okay, because I'm on record. After the split, they want to teach it differently. And the
Yep.
apostles them had to explain what we're going into in spirit and in truth, what was explained to us, and then we went into it. Okay, that it's not talking about heathens. Okay.
Well, yeah, because it says it says that we shall take and they shall take them captives, who captives they were. Right? And we were captives under all the other nations, man, and we're in captivity under Esau.
That's right.
You know, so it would be talking about them when you connect the dots. Isaiah 60:14, real quick, it says, the sons also of them that afflicted thee
Mm-hmm.
shall come
Yep.
bending unto thee,
Mm-hmm.
and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One Israel. Right? So it's talking about these other nations. The Lord is going to establish Israel once again, once and for all, and he's going to do it by destroying Babylon the Great, which is America today. Right? Yahweh Shai is going to get busy, and we're going to have new bodies. The elect are going to have angelic bodies, extraterrestrial bodies, and that's how we're going to be able to subdue these other nations and put them in captivity.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, you can read it. Revelation 18:20, the record of what you just said there in regards to Isaiah 14:21, 14:22. Excuse me, I'm running too fast here. 14 and verse 2.
God.
Right. Revelation 18:20. Just since you already read it, 18:20.
Or you want me to get it?
Yeah,
God.
just because you're there, and I'm going to
Yeah.
go back up. Go ahead.
Revelation 18 and 20. It reads, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh has avenged you on her.
Looking forward to that day.
Yeah.
Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, and read the next verse, and that's it. And then then just go back because we might have to go back here. I don't know.
Verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down,
Mm-hmm.
and shall be found no more at all.
Right. Simply put, that's a loaded precept. I mean, right? But that's the point. They're going to be possessed and destroyed.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, the system. All right.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to read for now. I don't know where the Lord would have us go next because this is loaded stuff. Back to verse 2. Our brothers have precepts.
I still have some precepts.
Bring them out. Gotta bring it out.
Yeah, because we're going into the strangers as well. I think it's very important. But in Acts, the previous precept I read before in Acts 6 and 5, it talked about they chose Philip to actually do the service, right? So when you go into Acts 8 and 26, it goes into the Ethiopian eunuch, right? Because he was an Israelite foreigner. He was in the land of Ethiopia.
Good example.
And the Lord told Philip to go and teach the word to him, right?
Right.
And so he can get back his rights.
Right.
So we're also set up to actually go to the Israelite foreigners through the internet, right?
Right.
So It says here, Acts chapter 8, verse 26. And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise and go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, an eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. The place of the scripture which he read was this: He was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. So, the Israelite foreigners are set up to get this truth, right? A certain number of them. And the men of the Lord, they're set up to go and teach. And that's why, starting with Great Millstone, we've been telling you about the Israelite foreigners and trying to drill it into your guys' thick skulls, that they're supposed to get the knowledge too. And there's going to be a certain amount of them that are going to come back into the fold. And guess what? They're going to be a part of the elect, right? And some of them might be a part of the 144,000 too.
That's right.
Right. So there's no time for really discrimination, but it's going to happen because Yahushua still has to do his job pursuant to the book of Amos. He's going to close the breaches, right, of the two nations. So I'm just bringing this out to point out, there's still a lot of teaching that has to go on about the Israelite foreigners, because we're not totally at the end yet, right? People still need to get sealed.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's right.
Yeah, and that goes into that parable about where the Lord Yahushua, he tells us about coming in at the 11th hour. Yeah, it goes into that, what Brother Gobar is going into. So I have a couple of precepts on hand. Actually, Second Ezra, if you can just grab that, 5:27 and 28. Second Ezra 5:27 and 28, going into the multitudes. That number is called a multitude, of course, that the Lord has, and they're going to come. The majority of them is going to come in at the 11th hour. So if we're in that 11th hour now, we just have to let the Spirit work, man. Right? So in regards to the wheat and the wheat and the tares, and also the sifting that the Lord himself is doing. Second Ezra 5:27 and 28. Point is in the 28th verse. You can just get that.
Second Ezra chapter 5 verse 27, it says, And among all the multitude of peoples, thou hast gotten thee one people.
That's right. The nation of Israel, right? We know he's telling us, hey, it's the nation of Israel. Namely, okay, we know in the Revelation it's the house of David. The Bible just said the house of Israel. It's the same thing. Okay, but an elect that the Lord's going to bring out of that. But one people. Go ahead, brother. Read.
Unto this people whom thou lovest, thou givest a law that is approved of all. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many, and upon the one root hast thou prepared others? And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many?
Beautiful. So the record tells us that the Lord scattered us, right? The Lord gave us over to them, and we know the story of that. Okay, very humbling once you get into it. And he scattered us. It's his diaspora, and he's going to deliver us when you go back to Isaiah 14. Right? But Ezra was asking that question, why it really, got him. And when you're young in the truth, he was a young man at the time, he asked that question. And we got to ask that question. Are there more of those multitudes out there? Definitely they are. And that's why this work will go on until the Lord says, no more. Okay. Anyway, that's the point on that.
That's right.
Fine. So going back to Isaiah 14 and 3, and it says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt keep that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city cease? Right? And that's it's going to be a praise, all right, when the Lord takes down these Edomites and destroys America. And that's where the hardest, the majority of bondage, right, and slavery came out of. It came out of America, spread out to the four corners of the earth.
It's poison. Yep. Democracy. Go ahead.
Add to that, the Lord is always calling prophets in every captivity that we're in to speak against the ruling powers. You know? Like we've always been in captivity, like our kings, right? Like right now, Apostle Ahar, he be a king,
right?
King of GMS, right? Speaking against Babylon. Nate is a king, wicked king, right? What's his name? GOCC is a king. But the Lord's always set up within different captivities us speak against. So this ain't nothing new happening. And this is us come back and said speaking because we're in captivity, speaking against ruling powers. Right?
That's right.
It's not a new idea. Right? So I just want to add that in there, you know?
Yeah, con. That's right. Funny enough, this verse is Isaiah 14 and 4, which is 144. That's the elect. So Isaiah 14 and 5, it says, the Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
So that's why he said, when he is in I beheld until the thrones were cast down.
Right.
When all the ruling class worldwide, right, all the crowns should be taken off their heads. Well, we know it's not literal crown, and even so, you know what I mean? They'll have no place for power, man. The power seat is taken from them and be given to our Lord, the rightful ruler of this world.
That's right.
Right.
I want to get that precept that you quoted. Was that Daniel 7 and 9? Fine. It's a good precept.
While you're looking for that, the one that you had mentioned before, Jeremiah 28. Well, Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. So yes, always. Yep, that's the point. No.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 9, it says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Right, and that's the Most High Yahweh himself. And thrones also represents rulership. Okay, because when you sit on a throne, you're in a place of rulership. Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. So again, you can link this to Revelation 13 or Revelation 1 and 13 down to the 15th verse, where that's talking about the revelation, right? The revealing of Yahweh Shai and what he looks like and all the other prophecies, the destruction of America. But it also said that Yahweh Shai had white hair, but his hair, the texture of his hair was woolly. His throne was, so that means Yahweh Shai looks just like his father, basically. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes into the chariots.
Mhm.
All right. With that it was just this verse, eh?
Come.
All right. So going back, Isaiah 45 and 5, Isaiah 14 and 5. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke.
Mhm.
He that ruled the nations in anger
Mhm.
is persecuted, and none hindereth. Yeah. There's going to be nothing that anybody can do, or Esau himself can do, to stop the judgment of the Lord befalling on them. All right. It's going to be a sword destruction. America's going to be destroyed. A lot of people within America. The only people within America that are going to be saved are the elect. Everybody else is going to be put to death or into slavery.
Yeah, he ruled the nations in anger because he bombed these other nations so badly, especially going into World War II with Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and all the other bombings that happened with it. That's a form that he ruled the nations in anger. On top of that, he takes away your rights.
Yeah.
Right. He gives you, he puts sanctions on you because you don't want to follow him. He puts all these embargoes.
Yeah.
That's another thing. He ruled in wrath, man, in anger. You're not supposed to judge like that.
Yeah.
He was made that way.
That's right, God. Excuse me.
God.
Wow.
Verse 7, it says, the whole earth is at rest
God.
and is quiet. They break forth into singing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the whole earth is going to be at rest once you Edomites are put out of rulership, man. Starting with you elites, the banking families.
Come on.
You're the cancer of the earth.
That's right.
You realize this place has never, under their rule, it has never had a proper Shabbat under these damn devils. So just think of that.
Yeah, Khan.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's an abomination.
All right.
Yeah.
So look at how tired this earth is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And on top of that, this earth was already plagued, especially beginning at when Adam and Eve fell.
Right.
So think of how tired this earth is and how worn out it is. And on top of the saints as well. This place is due for a rest, man.
Well, and that to add to that is when you think about buying food, organic food, this man doesn't give the land the Sabbath, right? Just continually.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's one of the Ezekiel. It's dry, man.
It's dry. Right? Yep.
Everything is just decrepit.
Yeah.
Old,
yeah.
Busted.
Yeah.
Look how we feel. Like we have to fake smile all the time, man. Like in the Lord's rule, it's gonna be like you're hard to smile, man.
Yeah.
Because we know.
Yeah.
Our body tells us that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I get a quick precept, brother?
Khan.
Isaiah 43.
Khan.
Let's start about 18.
43.
Isaiah 43.
15.
Isaiah 43 and 18 or 15?
18.
18. Isaiah 43 and 18, and it reads, remember ye not the former things.
So that's what Kabar has brought up. The Sabbath, man. That was a major thing, right? That was something instigated, implemented by the Lord. Right? We were supposed to have a Sabbath, a land Sabbath, because like the food we're eating right now, it's not food.
No, it's
not nutrients. You know what I'm saying? Bananas supposed to have seeds in them. Now there are no seeds, man. We don't know what it is. What's banana, right?
Yeah. It says, remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth.
And the new thing is giving us back this word, man, this doctrine. All right? Because at one time, we were out there in the world, not knowing who we were as a people, hence the dry bones. All right? The Lord says, "And do a new thing, right? And shall bring forth what? Keep reading.
It says, "Ye shall not know it.
Huh?
I will even make a way in the wilderness."
And the wilderness is represented to America, man. Babylon the Great,
That's right.
right? The Lord is making a way again, and it's through these scriptures, man.
Con.
Through first of all, the apostles and their elders, right? But it's also given to us by who? The Heavenly Father through His Son, right? So this is us in the wilderness being rejuvenated, right? This is how we rejuvenate, man. For now, okay. Keep reading.
And the rivers in the desert.
Keep reading.
The beast of the field shall honor me.
That's right. And the beasts of the field, didn't he say, "I'll send men or beasts"? Right. So the beast right there representing to who? Us, the Israelites. Keep reading.
And it says the dragons and the owls, because I give water.
And the dragons right there is going to the serpent. Remember, the dragon is a serpent.
Right.
But the Lord Yahushua said, "What? Be harmless as a serpent." Right. So the dragons there is going to into us being what? Wise. Right. So it's, again, we are those people who are referred to as dragons right there. All right. And it says about owls. Owls is known for having what? Wisdom. Right. And be able to see things circumspectly with the head spinning right around. But that's a gift unto us. And we do this in a spiritual sense, right? Through these scriptures.
That's right.
Thank you, reading.
Right. Because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert.
And this is rivers, man. It says, out of his belly shall flow rivers of what? Living water.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So this is a glorious thing. That's what we give thanks and praise to Yahweh all the time. Right? Because these scriptures, they come to life, and when they come to life, they make you alive, man. So, it means that, right? And you can see yourself in this book. You can see yourself in present day, in present time, and maybe foretell the future. Right? Because this is sealed document. This done. There's nothing added to it. Right? So we know the end of this book. Right? Just finish out the precept.
It says, to give drink to my people.
That's right, to His people, my chosen. So see, I'm saying that the dragons, the owls, is referring to what? It is parabolic talk, right? About the elect.
Yeah.
Right. This little boozy, Kemba Ranks included in this. All right, Ninja Man included in this. Yahusha didn't die for Ninja Man, right? About gun teeth and one teeth and whatever foolishness he's talking about, right? Not on this side, at least. In the kingdom, they come back in their new bodies and new things, being born righteous. They're off, man.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's read the 21 last verse.
It says, "This people have I formed for myself." Damn.
See?
Yeah. Damn, man. That's an honor, man. That's an honor.
Right? to be called out. Like we know our follies, but the Lord is saying, "No, look, Ashar, that man right there, get him. Gabar, that man, get that man right there. I'm talking to you, right? You're blessed. Hamath, come here. I got something to tell you, man. It's a secret. Don't tell that guy. I ain't telling him you won't get it. I ain't talking to him. Malak, come here." You know what I'm saying? It's a great feeling, right? To be not that dry state anymore. You know what I mean? That's it, brother. That's it.
They shall show forth my praise.
Right,
and that's why we do these lessons, man.
Yeah, I got a precept for that because it's very important, because you just touched on it. The spirit of the elect, the spirit that the Lord will have on the elect. Isaiah 55 and 12 and 13, right? So that's verse 8 there, reflecting on, Isaiah 14 and 8 in regard to the condition. Go ahead.
Isaiah 55 and 12, it says, "For ye shall go out with joy." Right? Oh, this is one of my precepts. That's funny. It says, "For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountain and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands.
Boom.
Yeah.
As a Christian, break that down. They have literal trees clapping, swaying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind. We know this is talking about the other nations, right?
Yeah, they have to bow.
Yeah,
as well.
because they're going to be rejoicing. Because you know what? That's why World War III. That's going to be the cause of that's the cause of World War III. Is these nations have had enough of America basically ruling over them. And now when the righteous, certainly with the elect, like precept says, when we low ruler of the elect, when we're in rulership, these nations are going to actually be happy, more happy than they've ever been, because we're going to be ruling with righteousness out of the law that the Heavenly Father has given us. Right? There's only one way to govern this earth, and that one way was given to Adam and the sons of God, the Israelites. Verse 13, it says, instead of the thorn, the thorn shall come up the fir tree.
So these they represent these nations as well, in essence, because Esau with juniper. But the point is, these herbs, these bushes have healing properties in them. But the scripture says, read on, brother. Go ahead.
And instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree, and it shall be to the Lord Yahweh for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off.
That's right. Right? Over these powers as well. Right?
That's right. Yep. So it says here, Isaiah 14:8, yea, the fir tree shall rejoice at thee, and the cedar of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us.
And that's literal trees, right? Because they have a spirit within them, but that's going to the nations.
Yeah,
right? All the nations are going to be happy that the Most High has set a righteousness against in the earth. Right? Like I said earlier, the nations want this. Like they're not saying it right now because Esau's have their head all twisted and convoluted, right? But in their spirit, they know something is wrong. Something is off, right? And you don't forget, Micah 4:2, Isaiah 2:3 speaks about the nations come and say, hey, let's go praise the God of Jacob.
Right. Yeah, and when you look it up, trees actually communicate with each other through their roots. And they share nutrients from one among another. So the trees have life, like the brother said. They also, in their spirit, they're waiting for Esau to be taken down. Because the trees represent the lungs of the earth. Esau is cutting them down to build skyscrapers and towers that are against the law.
Well, this man thinks of furniture store. You don't need furniture stores, man. If you need a table, right? You should be able to go and cut and make a table, but don't have a bunch of tables sitting there, right? And no one's buying them, and you keep making more and more for what?
Yeah, that's right.
So it kind of forces you now. Your table's in good standing. I should get a new table because this one's old. What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
There's a new one over there.
It's just like the bodybuilder. That man is always building some shit. He's always doing something, man. Always, no matter what. Okay.
Yeah, that's true, man, and that's true because what that does is it pushes people to be consumers, always consuming. So, verse 9 it says,
yeah, the term for that would be called deforestation, right? And that's on the rise.
Yeah,
you have so many hectares of lost forest, and it's increasing over the years and years, and it's very important that we have trees, just like what you guys mentioned. Like it's really easy to take trees for granted, and how much things that we use, like how much wood we use on a day. Like right now, I'm holding a pencil. That all comes from wood, man. I have a pencil right here.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we use when you go to the store, when everything that you interact with, everything has wood in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All this rubber that we
Yeah.
use in your shoes.
Yeah, that comes from trees too, rubber trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Isaiah 14:9, it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Right? So there's going to be this is World War III. Right? So hell from beneath has come up to meet thee. That's talking about the grave. So representing destruction and death. All right. And what is stirred up, what's being stirred up is these heathens, war, right? Strife between the different kings of the earth to what? To push out World War III. That's why it says it hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And I got a precept for that as well. Revelation 20:5. It says, but the rest of the dead, Revelation 20:5, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So this is talking about the other nations, because when the Lord, when Yahweh Shai comes and subdues, puts and destroys this place, guess what? We're going to have Esau and the other nations in slavery for 1,000 years, right? And the dead that not so that dead that did not live again basically means until the 1,000 years were finished, they're going to be in hardcore slavery, starting with Esau. Okay, and then after that 1,000 years, when you read the book of Obadiah, we're going to get rid of all these Edomites, burn them up, right? And then the nations are going to go back to having their plot of lands and whatnot, but they're going to be keeping the commandments as well. You know. So Isaiah 14:10, all they shall speak and say unto thee, are thou also become as weak as we? Are thou become like unto us?
So not a god.
That's right.
Esau is like himself unto a god, right? As if he can't be touched, right? Because he was made to think that way,
right?
Like he's doing what he was created to do, man.
Right?
Yeah. But the Lord is gonna pull that myth out of his mind and show the world who he really is. He's a nobody. He's a base man.
That's right.
Right. So other nations, like we know he's a piece of shit. Right.
Yeah.
But they say, well, you're just a man like us. Yeah. Even lower. Earlier before Obadiah 18 describes his ending.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Hey man, cockroaches are going to be dealt with better than the Edomites in the kingdom. You know? We're going to treat the cockroaches better than the Edomites. It says, verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave.
No proud man. The Moses said he resists the proud. Right. So your proud spirit is going to be taken away from you, man. You're going to be greasy, hairy, hungry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Run down, because a lot of brothers right now think, oh, I want to eat a woman in the kingdom. They won't look so appealing. They won't appeal at all, man. Because think about it. Go to any grocery store or whatever and look in the aisle where like there's products. It's all for them. There's so much products to make it. This is a mousse and this is a gel and this is this. Like what do we have? A comb and a pick. You know, we don't have much things.
Yeah.
So in the kingdom, don't want to buy stuff, man. They should have the true self, the true nature, man, is busted.
Yeah, and they don't want to bathe.
Gone.
Yeah.
So they need to live in the caves, you know.
Hey, I have to get it. Since we're saying it. Job 30.
I just want to say, because in verse 10 it says, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? You're starting to even see that now, because of how these other nations that are weaker that were once weaker than America, they're now getting stronger in their military through nuclear missiles. Like you even have North Korea, you even had China back in the 80s, and even Japan as well back in the 80s. They were just known for creating like bicycles and doing little cheap stuff, selling cheap things. But now they have Mach 9 intercontinental ballistic missiles. You know, so you have Russia, they have the Zircon missile. So that's also them speaking, saying that we're actually stronger. We're actually equal. We're actually equal now.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
That's right. That's right, man.
Yeah.
And even
the conspiracy. Go ahead.
We even when you think of Saudi Arabia, look what Saudi Arabia has done. That move they made, with now they're selling their oil in other currencies. Right? So that also represents that, because for a long time you can only buy oil in American dollars, but now, because Biden's been talking a lot of shit to those princes, and mishandling them and tricking them and not being a man of his word when it comes to trade and dealings with them, threatening them. Guess what? They said, okay, well, guess what? If you want to keep threatening us, then we're going to sell our oil. We're going to be able to have our oil be bought in other currencies. And yeah, you used to support us with weapons and guns, but guess what? Russia and China is saying that we can support you better. You know what I mean? So like these nations are starting to look down on America, right? And yeah, they're getting confident,
losing power.
That's right.
And that's why when you go into Jeremiah 50, it says your loving mother is going to actually look down on you, right? Briefly paraphrasing, even Great Britain, they're getting angry because America came out of Great Britain,
right?
So you still have there's a lot of animosity, with America and these other nations, man. A lot of anger.
Yeah, you even had a lot of Gadites that fought in those wars with the 13 colonies. You had a lot of Gadites that were on the side of Britain when Britain wasn't allowing America to set up their colonies. So let me bring this out again. Job 30:1, it says, "But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to set with the dogs of my flock." Right, and this is talking about Esau, and the reason, even though Esau was born before us, Jacob, he's in the spirit, he's younger, so it means he's on a lower level than the Israelites. The Edomites are on a lower level than the Israelites. All right, and derision goes into confusion as well. Actually, let me look it up real quick. Derision says, oh yeah, okay, so it goes into bywords as well. To laugh, play, mock. To laugh, usually in contempt or derision. To sport, so they made sport of us, right? To play, to make sport, to jest, right? By calling you what? Negroes, colored, monkeys, right? Jigaboo
monkey. I mean,
endless. Wow.
Yeah, man. So that's scorn. So scorn means to hate, also to scoff at. So that's what the Edomites did to us through what? Slavery, captivity, in slavery and captivity.
And that's amazing what you just said, because the next verse described them in one word.
Right.
Right, which was touched upon a little earlier. Go ahead, brother, when you're ready.
Yea, whereunto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, flee into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Right, and this is where you can find. This is where the term Caucasians come from, the Caucasus Mountains. Right, during the Dark Ages. They called it the Dark Ages, but it was really called the Dark Ages because we were ruling. Black people were ruling, right, over Europe, and we had pushed out them Edomites, all right, into the mountains, and we also had them as slaves. You know,
And then the Dark Ages is also going into them being in darkness, man, because it says in the wilderness. And the term wilderness means like, convoluted, man.
Khan,
Their mind weren't right.
Khan,
Right? They were cave beasts, cavemen.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So for them it was a dark time.
that's right, man.
You can also go in.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, you could also go into the book 13 Tribe. He goes into
Beautiful.
a little bit of a commentary on it with Arthur Koestler.
Yeah,
He talks about how vile they were and how they used to drink out of their relatives' skulls and stuff like that. They would wear the same garment until it would deteriorate.
Disintegrate.
They wouldn't shower. They would
Yeah.
they would walk around with lice in their head.
yeah.
Well, the new collection of I think it's it's a big brand, like a Givenchy brand.
Yeah.
It's coming out this spring is like runners, but they're dirty. Like it's like looks like they've been worn like by a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
This is a new collection. So these people, us, if we got new shoes, we don't know nothing, no scuff or nothing. These
Yeah.
people make shoes that look dirty.
Is it by Balenciaga, one of them?
I think it's Givenchy. That's one of them names, you know.
Yeah.
But that's the style coming up this summer, this spring.
Yeah. And look at what they did with Kanye, because Kanye hangs out with all these small hats, right? And there's so much videos of Kanye eating out of the hands of small hats, and being a real slave for them. And then look at his clothing line. It's a bunch of ripped up clothes.
Fun.
And they go for hundreds and thousands of dollars. Like, man.
So you call them children of fools, man. Only a fool will wear ripped up clothes.
That's
and
right.
Except to feel warm. You know?
Exactly. God.
Wow.
Verse 4: Who cut up the mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat.
Yeah, that's the only positive thing there. Those herbs, so the roots, right? Yeah, it's very healthy, but that ain't gonna save you.
Doesn't that go back to marshmallows as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Which they have everybody at the campfire. You see, Esau has everybody living like him, and then he has you glory in it, because like, I'm going camping with my family. You go find a stick, break it off the branch, get a marshmallow. You're living like a caveman.
You could also.
Wait.
Oh no, you could also say that goes into that whole vegan diet too, the whole vegetarianism, that whole religion. That's what they push. I believe that's where that comes from. Also, even going back to Genesis 4 with Cain and how he offered vegetables. These damn devils, man.
And that's why he has this thing called a plant-based diet. I was thinking it means like you eating a diet made from plants, but it actually means the food is made from a plant, like on a plant, manufactured in a plant. So the plant-based means manufactured, not the literal plant.
Wow. That's crazy. Play on words, man. Verse 5: They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief.
Wow. Yeah, so like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Damn devils, get away from my flocks. That's
right, man. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys. And you know what else? If you look at certain Russian icons, right, you actually have certain icons depict Edomites, being pushed into caves by so-called black soldiers, black royalty. You can look that up for yourself on Google. It says to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth.
Brother, just preach that really quick with Obadiah 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Right, let's connecting the dots here.
Yeah, bring that out. Yeah.
Obadiah chapter 1, verse 3, it says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks.
Yeah, and hey, real quick, I just have to say it just for those folks at home, real quick. Yeah, he takes a lot of pride with those bunkers. Lots of pride. Okay, just want to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his, and it's what we're speaking about. That it was no different. They're a little bit more cleaned up, but it's the same clefts of the rock. Go ahead, brother.
Whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
All right. Go ahead, brother.
Con.
Right.
That's right. I'll finish up Job here. It says, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, in the rocks, among the bushes they braid, and under the nettles they were gathered together.
Wow.
Right? So they didn't. Also in that book, the 13th tribe, it tells you that they didn't even speak. Right? They made noise to communicate with each other, like horses.
Well, that's where your yabba dabba do from, right? And bam, 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 bam. You know,
Wow.
that's where you get that from, man.
That's crazy, man.
That cartoon is about him.
Yeah. The Flintstones.
Mm-hmm.
It says they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth.
Wow.
Right?
Pretty low.
And then the last precept here is now. So that's why I said that they had us in derision.
Mm-hmm.
Job says, and now am I their song? Yea, I am their byword.
Mhm.
Right? They abhor me. And isn't that funny, man? Can you imagine someone that's in that state, living in dirt, like acting like an animal, now is laughing at you, looking down on you,
Yeah.
calling
places.
you an animal.
Mhm.
Right? Traded places, man.
God. That's right.
That I'm sorry, brother, but that actually links up to Psalms 137 and 3.
Okay.
For Job 30 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I'll read it real quick.
Yeah.
It says, for there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required us of mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Get up and dance, get up and sing, nigga. Right?
Yeah.
Like when you watch the movie Roots, I don't know if you remember that scene.
Mm-hmm.
They had the guy called Fiddler who was helping out Toby. He was the guy that always played the violin.
Yeah.
And he would be called any time of the night to play, whether he was dead tired, whether he was out in the field, he had to play a song for Master.
Wow.
That's how it is.
It says, they abhor me. Job 30 and 10, they abhor me. They flee far from me and spare not to spit in my face.
That's right.
So yeah, that's Esau, man. So going back to Isaiah 14 and 11, it says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave.
Hey, for that word pomp there, it's important for those at home. It says their arrogancy, okay, and vanity. If that's all that we exposed in the spirit, all of those things, it's all vanity and foolishness. This man is a damn fool. This is who's running the world, a damn fool, right? A children of a fool. But it says here, all of his arrogancy and his vanity is going to be brought down to the grave. To hell. Go ahead, brother. Just wanted to emphasize the word pomp.
God. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worm covereth thee. Right? So your whole kingdom, as we speak, is decaying. Okay? Your rulership is even decaying.
That's right.
That's what the worm represents. And what shows you Yahushua's body didn't have any worms on it, because worms usually come up around the 4th day to desecrate the body, to eat up the body. But Yahushua was raised up in the 3rd day. You see? Yeah. So Yahushua and his rulership, right? It just shows you that Yahushua's rulership in his kingdom is gonna last forever. That's gonna be the final kingdom, where your kingdom is decaying right now and it's gonna be ultimately thrown down and destroyed by Yahushua himself.
They actually say right now that his infrastructure is at a D rating.
Wow.
If you look at all these buildings and these bridges, they go back from like what, the 50s, and they haven't really been like maintained properly over the years,
Right.
right? Because the population is growing,
Mhm.
but they're not keeping up with that.
Right.
So like everything is like deteriorating, and they can't keep up and fixing it because there's not a lot of money,
Con.
right? So yeah, it's falling apart.
The D's for destruction.
Con.
True.
Mean for destruction. That's right.
That's spiritual. Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?
So now we're making fun of them.
That's right.
Prophet about Shai.
That's
Mhm.
right.
We're not, he's not asking like how you. He's like saying, since you know so much, since
Yeah.
you're God, how come you're on the ground now?
That's right.
So-called white man.
Yeah. No,
How'd
con,
you get there?
con. Which is spiritual, man, because we're gonna be mocking him like that,
God.
right? Because guess what? They mocked Yahushua the same way.
God.
You know? They also mocked Yahushua in the same way. And Lucifer means light bearer, so that's not speaking to the spiritual demon Satan, but to his children, his
Yeah.
physical counterparts, which are the Edomites.
Yeah, it's going into the elites because when you go into Psalm 64, it talks about the secret counsel of the wicked.
That's right.
They're really the illuminated ones behind the
Yes.
scenes, and
Yeah.
they have all the answers. And that's why when we put them into captivity, because they're going to go into slavery first, we're
Yep.
going to be looking down at them. We're going to be like, hey, where are the answers? Where are your demons that you're praying to? How come
Con.
you can't get yourself out of this conundrum?
That's right.
What's going on?
Exactly. Exactly. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. Right?
And the only illuminated one, select it, brother.
Go ahead.
The only illuminated ones are us, man. Pursuant
Right.
to Hebrews 10:32.
Right.
All right, we're the only illuminated ones, man. Them men are dark lords, right? They bring no light. There's confusion. Light wasn't given unto them to bring to the world, right? They were cursed from Cain, right? Because we know in the spirit that was the same spirit that was in Edomites today was in Cain then.
That's
and
right.
what was prophesied back then is that dust and eat, right? They say of confusion, right? So that's why they're saying how you fall in Lucifer. Since you know so much, how'd you fall?
Exactly.
Why'd you stop it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Scroll.
It says, for thou said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne, which is again his rulership. And when you go into that word throne, it says rulership and authority, right? His authority above the stars of Yahweh, which are the Israelites. You know, so he would go out to say that, guess what? You're not an Israelite. I'm the true Israelite. He would go to say that, you can't do this and do that. You're meant to be like through slavery. They use the Bible in a perverse way to say that to justify them having us as slaves, right? When you
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say when you go to Deuteronomy 28, which they weren't off with that because it's true. We went into slavery under them, but we went into slavery under them because we disobeyed the Lord, and they took it further. Right? They went past because it's a scripture that says that Esau added to our affliction.
Yeah, he forwarded the affliction. Yeah.
Right. When he said raise it.
When he says ascend of the stars of God, also we know the stars of God, like I said, truthfully, are the Israelites, which means Yashar Allah, he Prince of power, he Prince of God. So he says he's the Son of God. That's what this is Chisare Bojeres, right? Right. Pope Alexander VI, him saying the Pope, God represented on earth as a father, so his son is now the Son of God. Now he's put himself over us and said he is us. Right?
That's right. That's right. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the
North America. Yeah, real quick. Yeah, you got to go to Isaiah 2:2, just for those folks out there who's looking on, right? Because the brothers just prophesied about it in regards to Israel. Who's that congregation that I'm speaking about? So if you could just go there real quick, Isaiah 2:2, and then go back.
Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2, and it shall come to pass in the last days, that the mountain of the Lord's house, Yahweh's house, shall be established in the top of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which is the house of David. We know that. All right. You could say the house of Israel as well. But in the prophecy and the revelation, it's the house of David. There's many houses, but it's the house of David. Anyway, go ahead, brother.
And it shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow onto it.
Hey, the movie coming called You People. I think it's out already. Eddie Murphy, You People. Yeah. So in our kingdom, there will be no Chinese and Japanese and you people. That's it. You know what I mean? There's gonna be Israelites and you people.
Yeah, it says it here. We will be exalted above the hills and our nations. So man. Those people. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So going back, Isaiah 14:13 says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north," right, which is over here in North America. "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High."
And I just want to say this, okay? Just for those folks again out there who are looking on, that's a great sign to show. When it says the sides of the north, you have to think about the Ark of the Covenant, okay? Because there's a sanctuary there, and the elect is really in the Holy of Holies, congregated with the Lord. But this devil is on the sides of the north. You have to understand that. If you can see it, he's outside of the sanctuary. That's the point. But he's trying to influence, right? Just because he's permitted to be over us now, but I'm just saying that the sides of the north is outside of the sanctuary. That's the point, and that proves also that the Lord's dealing with not only Israel, but He's dealing with a remnant of that seed, a seed of that remnant from the sides of the north. Okay. That's what that precept is going into on a deeper sense. The sides of the north. Never said that he was inside the temple. He's on the sides of it. And when you look at, like I said, look and understand what the sanctuary is, and outside of the body, all of the wickedness is coming from outside the influence that's trying to get the elect. Okay? Anyway, go ahead, brother.
History. When you go into history, the nations that were in the north of Israel were the Babylonians, and they came to infiltrate Israel, and they destroyed the temple. And now, you fast forward to now, Babylon in the spirit is America. Like you said, they want to infiltrate in the holies of holies of the tabernacle, which is now a people, right? The house of David, the elect. He wants to do that by inserting, an M-A-R-K in you, which means what? He wants to put his name on you, right?
He's trying to steal the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, you can say it like that too. Yeah, he wants to put his name on you, because I say it like that because we're the Most High's woman, right? And when you get with a woman, you marry her. What does she do? She takes on your name. So Esau is trying to put his name on the Most High's woman, which that's the house of David, the elect. All right. So going back to Isaiah 14:14, it says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High."
Yeah, going into a space program, as we know as well.
Yeah.
And in every imaginable way, he's going to try to be like the Most High. But we know that, how would you say, just coining the phrase, right? They say truth, life imitate, for them, art imitates life. He's a wicked artist. that's imitating the truth, but it's a twist when it comes out.
Yeah, when you watch that, I don't know whether to watch that movie Eagle Eye, with Shia LaBeouf was in it, Eagle Eye, and they had this technology called the Eye of God, and it was basically like a supercomputer that basically had eyes on every single person in America, right? And when you go into those their satellites and their space systems, those satellites are set up so they can identify and see, right, everything that everybody's doing on the earth. So like the Most High. So who's doing that? Ask yourself, who's doing that on the planet right now? It's the so-called Edomites, America. America's forwarding that. So that gives you a clue as to who Isaiah 14 is talking about.
Yeah, he's trying through that. It means like he's just trying to be omnipresent.
Yeah,
that's the word for it, or ubiquitous, right? That's what he's trying to do, and that's why he also has cameras in every sect of the city or every part of the city.
Con, yeah.
And that all links with the MOTB and the whole social credit system.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Can I quick with that?
Con.
Ecclesiastes 3:16.
Con.
And it reads, and moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that the wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there.
Right, which is
yeah. Verse 17 is the point. I say in my heart, Yahweh should judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work.
Con. That's right. Yeah, the Most High is the ultimate judge, and judgment is played out on earth. Right? You basically you live out your judgment from your past life on earth. That's why I think who wrote this Ecclesiastes, King Solomon.
Yeah, it could be him.
Right. That's what he was saying. That's what he was going into. So I'm probably gonna, because we're an hour and a half in, and we still got like another 15 verses. So I'm probably gonna cut it at 6 verses.
Yeah, cut it, because this is too much. There's a lot there that needs to come out. And...
Yeah. So
Brontosaurus burger.
What'd you say?
It's a Brontosaurus burger. It's huge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, con. Yeah, because this chapter has a lot to it, man.
Yes.
Verse 15, it says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit."
That's right.
To the grave.
That's right.
And the side is the bottom side, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, "Is
look at that word narrowly, brother."
Con.
Is it give it a bit more oomph, so
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Narrowly. Right? It says here to gaze, stare. Right?
Let's go lower.
Yeah. Yeah, it says Strong's definition, glance sharply at. Right? Look narrowly. And that's
look down upon. Look down at somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It made that face like, is this a man?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And you usually narrowly look at someone when you're suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at them, you're kind of suspicious, like, of what they're saying. So Esau's lies are going to be all found out, and people are going to look at him like, "Yo, you ain't nothing. you were the person. You were the man that put us all in subjection, and had us pay taxes and tributes to you. Well,
look at Lord Rothschild, man. That old bastard.
Right.
Doesn't matter when he has no more security around him, no more armies protecting him. Right. Put him with a Jake. Put him with a 2/3.
Yeah.
With a black amount in his pocket and some weed. Leave him in there. I'm going nuts 2/3. You know.
Yeah, it goes back also to the Wizard of Oz. If you remember that scene,
God.
you saw the guy behind everything. It was some old decrepit guy causing all the problems. You're like, yo, is this the guy that was causing all that shit?
Yep.
And then you just want to beat his ass up. And then you look at him like, is it even worth it? Is it even worth my time kicking your ass now? It's just like, wow.
Yeah, that's true, man. Wow.
Well, I have the etymology from Etym Online for the word narrowly. It's everything that we said, but it's just the words that he used. It says here, real quick, if I could get, it says narrowly, adjective, Old English, narrowlice, with little breadth or extent. Okay, closely, strictly, carefully, and then it says see narrow. Now I read all of that for this. It says meaning only by a little. So that look of guilt, that when we look at him, we see the guilt on him. It's like what Brother Gabar says. Is it even worth it?
Yeah. Also going into the look of little regard.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. It's all that. I'm just breaking it down the way they put it here. It says by a small distance is attested. So you look at this guy. It was like, what?
Yeah.
And then, come on, man.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm going from really the prophet's perspective, because we already know this guy's fate. It's death and destruction. When you look at it, you go, wow, all praises to Yahweh Shem Yoshai, man, but this ain't worth it. On with it. Put a 2/3 with him. Yeah, I mean, is it worth it? Yes, of course it's worth it.
Of course it is.
From a little boozy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the point on that. By small distance, that's come on, man. Wow.
That's funny. Isaiah 14:16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? Showing you it's not the spiritual demon Satan. All right. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and dideth shake kingdoms? Right? That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners. Right? Which means he never had mercy on those that he had rulership over. Right? Starting with you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians, all of us. Right? He didn't have any mercy on us as being prisoners. And also you other nations, what does he do? When you don't follow what he says, what does America do? They put sanctions on you. They set up embargoes so you can't get any trading routes. And who's that affect? It affects the civilians of your country. So
also making the world a wilderness. This world is polluted.
Right.
He's bombed these places up to the point that you can't grow any food.
Right.
You got places like Chernobyl.
Yeah.
You got something called the Siberian wolves, which they're famously known because they've adapted to radiation. Right. There's certain places like Australia. You can't grow anything because they've tested bombs over there.
Yeah.
It's like a wasteland, man.
Think of the Polynesian Islands. That's when the 50s or 60s when he used to test all the bomb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Finish this up. Last verse. All the kings of the earth of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. Yeah, so just going back to the fact that these other nations are actually going to be living better when the Israelites, the elect, all right, starting with the elect, are in rulership than they're living right now. Okay. By what? Going back to their own plot of land, right? But they're not going to be doing whatever they want. They're going to have to keep, the law, statute, and commandments of the Heavenly Father, So, that's it for now. We'll do a part 2 on this, Lord willing, the next live lesson. Brothers have any lasting statements or precepts?
No.
Khan. So, with that, we're going to close this lesson. Lord willing, this was edifying to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. We're going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh. All right, double honors to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who ruled well and has taught us this word in truth and sincerity. And peace and mercy to the whole full elect that are also pushing this word across the four corners of the earth in truth and sincerity. And you little man sisters as well that believe and listen. We're going to say about the ball. And Lord willing, to the next live lesson, we say shalom to the whole full elect.
We hope so.